audit.
You're so
Come again?
I'm just gonna go down the alcohol.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, everyone, we are just getting situated in the temporary city hall location at the central fire station. So give us just a minute to get our ducks in a row and we'll get started.
Right. Call this meeting to order. It's March 7th, 2023, or 33, I think it was. We're gonna, everybody get a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes, sir.
Teresa, have any additions or any changes?
I have I guess maybe an addition,
Okay,
that Sarah did roll call and she didn't put Ravonda down as being absent.
So I think that.
I was going to leave that.
Wow.
That's really good one.
Yeah. And I will
Mention everybody's name.
for those on Zoom, I will share my screen in just a minute. I'm gonna get things visible for so I believe we communicated about this on email, so I might have already made the adjustment here. So here we have Ravonna Smith was absent here. And then later down in the this section, I think was what you were talking about specifically, where there was a roll call vote.
Yes.
And so this is where I added that Ravonna Smith was absent.
That's it.
But then everywhere else,
It's okay.
we noted it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because I wasn't at the January's meeting, so I didn't know they had already voted for Ravonda to be the vice chair. Because I was trying to be the vice president.
Yes. And now you're the secretary.
Right.
okay, so with the changes, do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Approved, roll call vote?
No, just all in favor.
Good. All in favor?
Thank you.
Any opposed?
Okay, so we have, I believe you're doing the admin report, right, Sarah?
Yes, the admin report, I just have two things to tell you about. One is that I have submitted all the materials for the audit to begin. There's a couple of corrections that have to be made to the general ledger from the year that had to do with me not understanding how I was supposed to input the audit adjustments from last year. So it's a fixable problem, and Ryan and I are going to work on that this afternoon. And
We might have found some money.
Okay.
Let's see.
Good.
And I've also talked to the auditors about the outstanding Galvin loan.
Yeah.
So that's something hopefully I can report back more on. The audit is due at the end of this month.
And that's when I go in next Wednesday and to talk to Nicole, I'll find it, because I think there's just an amicable way based on the paperwork that we know that we've got, that we can just get it reconciled.
Right, there's probably a couple of strategies we can move
Yeah.
forward with. And then I submitted an application that was due on March 1st, LGRMIF fund, local government record management improvement fund. And it was for about $17,000 mostly. They have pretty well developed guidelines at the state archives for how to estimate labor costs.
Yep.
So most of that was about exactly that, which was how many person hours will it take to describe and organize X number of cubic feet of records based on their like state of organization. So, you know, very well organized records that just need to get digitized, obviously will take less time. So I shared the application with you all. But yeah, you'll see it's basically limited to we would have to, if we were to receive this funding, and we could, the first thing that we would do is probably do bidding process for like a bulk digitization service. You have to find some people who could handle records in this state of
Decay.
Decay, it's the right word. And I did some web searches that helped me get to an estimate of about $5,000 for the volume of records.
This is a really powerful computer that reaches miles.
Yeah.
You just lost connection for a bit, but I'm not sure what was the last,
Chris, what was the last that you heard?
oh, you're on.
You're mute.
Yeah, let's see, you had just talked about the Galvin loan, and you were talking about the library application. You said it was $17,000. You were talking about the state of the materials that you were trying to deal with, and that was it. Then I lost you.
So I don't think we need to recap too much, but just that the grant specified a work plan that would require the board to approve vendors for scanning and approve probably some contract hires for like research assistants to help collect metadata from the records. So we could work with our volunteer project consultant Dave Hodgefelder at SUNY Albany, who has been involved with this records project from the start, and so he could help us like create a job description and like a scope of work for different research assistants. So that is all, we would get started on that if we were to be awarded the funds. And then I think the sort of outcome, in addition to having backed up hard drives of these records in a categorized fashion that we could share with the library or Columbia Green or another place to be stored or made accessible to the public. We'd also, in the grant, I described that create a summary document of the records to be distributed with folks in the community, HHA, other stakeholders. So that would make some recommendations about how these records can be used or activated for public programming. So that's basically the scope of the grant. It's pretty tight. It's just about digitization and a little bit about looking forward.
Is there any influence that we could get by sourcing, letters of support from various different areas of the community that would show that it's like a multifaceted interest in procuring this money for us?
I think that that's not necessary and it's a little too late. Like, I think, if we did that before the first, but I don't think it's necessary. I think that would be more necessary if we were doing something more out there or like involving already specified projects with, or partnerships where money was moving hands with, for example, if we were partnering with the library or doing a shared services agreement or something like that. So I don't think that that's necessary, but we'll see. I did see, like, for example, the submission that we made in 2012 for these funds, and it was really straightforward. It was just a very straightforward application. So
Would we start with the more delicate ones so we can at least secure them and then move?
that's a good question. I mean, I think we can determine that process. I think once we are at the point where we are soliciting quotes and feedback from different scanning vendors, then yeah, we can understand how to prioritize that.
Great.
Because, for example, maybe what I budgeted $5,000 is maybe that's an underestimate. So then we would have to prioritize certain records and then we could run other things.
As I say, we run out of money and we can get the most important ones that are in danger of loss, and then we can do another cycle or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great.
So again, like, this grant doesn't pay for public programming, it just pays for scanning, digitization, and a little bit of like time spent talking to folks who have a stake in these records. There's some time that I budgeted at the end for that kind of outreach work, but I can imagine we'd be doing that all along if we once we get this money,
Great.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Great job.
thanks.
Next we have Mr. Treasurer. Are you ready for the financial report?
Yeah, we pull them up.
Yeah.
And so we'll go through two things. Sarah and I met, I think we meet Sunday to go through reconciliations. Right now, we are showing.
So what I'm gonna do is share my screen over. Let's see. Pardon. Yeah, give me just 1 second. So what do you want to look at first? The balance sheet?
Balance sheet, yeah.
Okay.
As I'm literally, before I was like, wait, I'm not connected, I can't push to,
Right.
there we go.
Okay. Oops.
No, you're right, and then, there you go.
So we'll scroll through and one more step. Here we are.
Perfect. So right now, I'll start with us, HCDPA, like after all the reconciliations for the month, we're looking at a account, let's just call it the account amount that we have in the account at 24,622. That we can expect to go down by approximately 11,000 after the audit takes place and is conducted. That will leave us with our net balance for the year. And then obviously Housing Trust Fund of what's been issued to date, we're sitting at 571,507.01. Two things, because I think now would be the time to bring up what we discussed. So two things that I wanted to bring up, both for the Housing Trust Fund and for the HCDPA, is that because our day-to-day and monthly operating expenses aren't something where we need to have so much money in just a standard checking account, do we want to consider taking at least half of what you've got and moving it into a high interest money market account? So by the calculations I did, if you kept 71,000 as just liquid and then moved the 500 to a high interest bearing account, you could make a couple $1,000s by the end of the year just by letting the money gain interest to work for itself. Vice versa for us, if we took 5 in to put, into a high, even if it's a money market account, we would end up walking away with about like 540 at the end of the year, which is better than what we've had before.
Yeah.
Both issues would require resolutions for each organization to do. And then we would have to go to the bank together to make sure that they do all of it. There's no fee to charge it. It's just making our money work for itself while it's sitting in the bank.
And that's allowed.
Yeah, well, that's what it's basically, because even though we're nonprofit entities, we can have the business accounts.
Yes.
Based on the balance that you keep within the account, you get a better preferred interest rate on it. And I would, knowing that we have this one-time ability with the balance, particularly for the housing trust fund. How do we make sure that we're maximizing the ability for just interest-bearing accounts to provide more income into that account?
Not which is allowed,
Yeah.
Now we can move that, right, in terms of.
Yeah, Chris, any?
Yes, so could I just note for you that you should have an investment policy? And if you don't, you're gonna need to have one adopted. It's something that you should always have anyway. I'm not seeing it on your policy list. And maybe that's something to check on. If you don't, you might want to consult with the city and refer to their investment policy and review that and see if it's appropriate for you and then adopt that. Because when you're going to do something, then you should always have that in place. And you will need to make sure that the policy should make sure that you're only investing in things that a municipality is allowed to invest in. Okay.
An ESG clearance that makes sure that the interest bearing from the bank isn't investing in anything that goes against the
Right. So in general, bank accounts have to be collateralized, right?
Come again? Not doing it,
You can just put in the chat.
Oh, yeah, you could type it in the chat, but I think we're.
See one on your. There we go. Investments for the period.
Yeah, what's your question, Kamal?
A question.
It's like done to enterprise,
Okay.
so I don't have to report it has to be used for the housing trust fund, it can't go to HCDPA.
No, that's exactly, what we wanna do though, is with that, I wanna make sure all of the money, like.
Mhm.
With this rate alone, say that we had $1,500 in just like office costs a year, right? This investment. Office expense funds that aren't coming off the top of that dollar value, then this way, it's like, it's a way to just make it work for itself, and we're not looking for HCDPA, it's just how do we, with that number, make sure HTF is replenished.
Sure, the only thing is that we don't have a plan yet for incoming revenue, and so
Okay,
I wanna like really understand when can you take funds out, like what amounts, how many times a year, what penalties there are, so that like, let's say we don't get new revenue that we anticipated for 2024,
Yeah.
we still have money, we still have enough on hand to pay our needs in 2024.
Yep.
And then also, realistically, like we have a lot of money right now, right, in the seed funds, but we're not gonna be having that much like year to year. And
Right.
so like my understanding is that when you have shorter term investments, you got more risk, right? So this is a shorter term investment, now we're only gonna have the seed funds for a few years and it's been dwindling, so I just wanna make sure that we're not like gonna be losing.
oh, no, and I'm not suggesting like a CD, like a long-term
Yeah.
lockup, it is a savings account that because of the threshold of the money that
Right,
we
I
put
just
in.
know money
and-
markets like do lose money. Like,
Oh, no, and it's not a money market savings
okay.
by any means, there is a business account
Mhm.
that is not exposed to those fluctuations, just the
Okay.
interest rate, because if you took, right, so say it's
No, we're here again, sorry.
71,507 stays in just like the everyday checking,
Yeah,
and you move the 500 over, like you can take out money whenever you want to, you're not penalized against it, but like when you have money over that threshold, you buy a penny,
yeah,
you're making that certain percentage of high interest on it for the year. So even if it was for dwindling over 2 years, like there are rates calculated at 125,000, 250,000, 500,000.
Mhm.
And that's without leaving Bank of Greene County, at least that's what I was looking up after we talked on Sunday.
yeah, I think, yeah, as long as, I have a clear understanding of like the rules.
Oh, you be coming with
Then
us,
I think
yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, basically it was, I looked at it and I said, this can generate money without losing money for itself, and that's what I want to see us do. So we're gonna look at the same thing for after we pay the audit off. We know we don't have any immediate operating expenses, like how do we move something over? Because even if we can get a few $100s extra, that's more than what we've done in the past for our own board's sake.
And whatever procedures you put in place, they will be in writing, not just for you, but for anyone that comes after you for
Correct.
that particular position.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So Chris, do I need a motion to just, give the consensus on moving the idea forward for researching, the investment policy?
No, I think we can do it and then I'll
Sorry,
just
Chris, you were muted.
circulate it to everybody in advance.
Yeah, I think. Treasurer could bring a recommendation to, really you should probably form a committee. Schedule a committee meeting, maybe immediately before the next board meeting.
Yes, okay,
Finance committee, and you can present that investment policy to them for review. And then the board could approve the investment policies.
okay.
Treasurer can bring specific investments again to the finance committee as a recommendation.
Okay, and then Chris, I'll send you what I've got background wise on it sometime this week, just to start looking over it.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so that was where we.
Oh, wait, so Chris, if you can hear us through the phone, can you turn the volume on your device, on your computer down so that we're not getting the feedback? Like you're muted and then the volume is down and
I
then
just-
that way. Oh, I see.
Okay.
If that works, okay,
Yeah,
okay, all right.
So do we want to move to bill approval?
well, yeah, so that's where we are just on the balance sheets for this quarter, or sorry, this month, and I just, again, that's why we're doing the reconciliations. The 2 checks that we had cut, when we had gone to the bank, about 2 weeks ago or so.
At the end of the month.
We have, remind me of the amounts, because you've got them right there.
It was, we signed a check from the housing trust fund to reimburse the city for Michelle's salary, so that hasn't cleared yet. And we signed a check for Chris's services,
Correct.
my services, Chris, your check's in the mail. And we also just got your most recent invoice today, so it was too late to be, but I think you know we're good for it. No.
You know where to find
Not
us,
for-
right?
So, we can look at the reconciliations if you want,
And did you cut Hudson Roots check?
the Hudson Roots check.
Hudson Roots check, yeah,
Yeah,
that was the third one.
That went out immediately.
Yep. Can you bring that way? Yeah, that's the one I was gonna say to pull up.
So this is the HDF, the reconciliation, here, let me, sorry, apologies,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me share my screen. So, yeah, the HDF reconciliation, so that's the promise check that was cleared, and then this check I just dropped off with Heather this afternoon. Oops, let me just grab it, sorry. Yeah. So we had an annual subscription fee for the Microsoft apps that we use on this computer,
Oh, God, yeah.
and an associated.
We did the forensic research to find out exactly where it's billed and how.
And the account,
Yeah.
and we did confirm that is
Legitimate.
what we do, and then here's the check for Chris that hasn't been processed yet.
Yeah.
And then the only invoice that we have today is for me, and the invoice was a bit higher than normal because of the audit, primarily the audit prep work, and I threw in a little bit of time on the LGR grant,
Yeah, that's fine.
for $690.
Yep, and reviewing all that with you on Sunday, I make the recommendation to Dominic to accept and put the vote to pay the bills to the board.
Great, can I get a motion to pay the bill, accept the financial report and pay the bills?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So the time you hung out with Ryan and I at the bank was a freebie,
That was it, yeah. Listen, they offered all those free giveaways in the corner. She was like, do you want some Tupperware? I said, no, thank you, ma'am. They literally, we have so much, and I was like, where am I putting more Tupperware, right?
the tough one.
I went,
Okay, so we have resolutions.
We don't have any.
no resolutions this time.
No, it's outstanding ones. And then Michelle had let me know that there hadn't been like enough word motion on that conversation to change the resolution, so I took it off. I probably should have left it on and we could just table it again, but. It's not there.
Kind of, so one of the other things that I looked into, it would be relatively easy for us to work with the HTF to get you like a debit card linked to the account on it. So do you know what a P card is? I think you got them for.
And she says, that's if I just follow, like if I just submit an voucher.
Whatever it would be that those previous conversations, it sounded like one of those guardrails, but there are tools out there that will
Yeah.
provide that for us.
Exactly, and I'm saying whatever we can do with oversight,
Yeah.
because coming out your pocket.
Well, thank you all.
I wouldn't want to come out.
Um,
Looking at me, I don't have it like.
It's not, you know, and.
That is a BK value meal and a chicken nugget, like an safe experience.
And you know, someone say,
Yeah.
We really have to. Well, with.
Their diet is way more expensive.
You know, I wanna say, when we're thinking about procedures for what is comfortable with you may not be comfortable with someone else who comes into this. To remember that, and I'm noticing that we don't remember that.
I would be against, no matter who's in the position.
So you're thinking whoever comes in the position should take it out of their pocket?
Yeah, I mean, it's not much, and the reimbursement is pretty fast. I just, you know, the card is lost or something was stolen or whatever. I just need to.
Yeah, I'm against the card too, but you were saying it was something else. What were you saying?
Oh, what, the P card, yeah, that's, I mean, like I got pickpocketed years ago, on a work trip, and they got the P card, and like the person tried taking me to the subway, and it doesn't work for that, so it's like, you know, they could have, listen, they could
It's a
have been
P card.
means
If
stands
I
for
can
purchasing.
reflect back though, I feel like what I heard Michelle say
Is
was
she
that
okay?
internally to the department, to the housing department and with Heather, that you have a process that's gonna work.
Yeah.
Or that.
And that is also, she's saying like, if I'm a city employee, then it's good to stay the same city procedures as the other city employees.
Okay.
And then if I did have a bigger expense, I would know about it in the future, like I'd know about it ahead of time and I could submit a voucher to the council ahead of time and they could like.
Good, as long that, I think our collective biggest concern is how do we make sure you're not continually, yeah, you know, I mean, it's like,
So
whatever
it's
you would choose
something-
to do with that,
Yes,
yeah.
if I choose to like do it ahead of time, then I can do that.
So
like,
better
as well.
planning would do that.
Yeah, if you have the autonomy to,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so that's done. So we have-
Well, that was in the, that would
Was
be.
that the resolution?
But we now have to amend the resolution to specify the reimbursement process.
So we're gonna-
It's not on the agenda right now.
Okay, so we'll bring it back next month.
And that's the only reason why we were talking about this, but.
Okay, so we're back. Old
Yeah.
business, we're good. Oh, we're back to Michelle anyway.
We're back to the Hudson Housing Trust Fund Director.
So since y'all moved your meeting to the first Tuesday of the month, we moved our meeting to now be the fourth Monday of the month, so they're not back to back. So we haven't met since you all met, so I have nothing to report.
Okay.
That's my report.
So how, in the minutes, how do you put you all? You all?
I'm from Alabama, it's not hard.
So good. Okay.
I'll do it. Then you can add.
The word.
So we're back to new business with the insurance.
Oh, yeah, so I shared out the insurance policy that currently insures this board and our properties, and a questionnaire that I filled out. There were a couple of things that I wasn't so certain about. Did anyone have a chance to look over that policy?
I did. You said.
Any thoughts on
I
the
don't know,
policy?
but didn't really have any thoughts.
Did it over yesterday, but I have it right here. If I want it.
I am admittedly not an insurance expert in any way. But last year the policy cost us $1,200, $1,267, or yeah, $1,267. And we were tasked with filling out a renewal questionnaire here. I did my best on this. Are we interested? There was these are my answers here, and then things I didn't know are marked with question marks. So are we interested in discussing a cyber liability coverage?
I would keep it.
Yeah.
We'd say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
Is that
don't.
when someone has shield coverage?
And
Yes.
as we're looking to discuss any digitization of records, that would be our authority, yes.
Okay.
Because that's all of a sudden digital's destroyed. Was there a monetary value on it? Who knows, but still.
Oops. Chris? Not sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can hear you.
So you're asking about your insurance? And
Yes.
are you on cyber?
Yes.
So
The
to
question
what
is just a regional questionnaire, so they're basically saying, do you want more information about cyber liability coverage?
right. I mean, most public entities now are considering some kind of cyber policy, which of course comes along with cyber security procedures, which you should also be paying attention to. I guess the bigger question is how much private information do you have? And what are those considerations? The city obviously has a lot because it has employee information. But then again, they should take that into account in your pricing. So I think it's something you should consider.
It's expensive.
Okay.
It is expensive, I know. And I'm sure the city's got a policy, but
Not yet, but
We're working on it, that's how we. know
okay,
it's-
all right.
Yeah.
Would this be considered under the city policy as
you would need your own.
No, you need your own.
Not unless you can get them to piggyback it for you. Well, because a lot of the information is, going to be the same.
Well,
Yeah,
what does the
The
policy?
I
same
mean, at
system.
this point, all we're asking is for, if they're asking if we want more information, so the answer is just yes.
Sure. Within the policy, what does it cover?
I'm pulling up the package right now.
It's not a month, everything, isn't it? If you get it back.
Well, I think it'd be all of it.
It's amazing how dense I feel like these documents are where I don't totally understand. That's why I shared it with the board. But I know that we have liability coverage related to our properties, and we also have board insurance that would cover like the legal costs related to, if we were sued. And I'm not sure what to say about this now, except that the policy, I think, is auto renews like on the, or not auto renews, the policy is set to expire on the 19th of April, so we could take this up in the next meeting too. If people for the policy, but I will submit this questionnaire. Question 12 is your current business interruption, extra benefit, loss of principal adequate based on the terms of your policy, and then do the property limits on your policy accurately reflect the cost to replace specified property with today's cost. With all of our properties are vacant.
Yeah,
I would tend to think, yeah.
yeah.
Likewise, we don't receive any rents,
Mhm.
and our business interruption would be pretty inexpensive. So I'm inclined to say yes, but just wanted to check with those.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think our liabilities are so low, I can't see that the cyber insurance being that much, right, with the liabilities, right?
Yeah. Then, do you currently operate the business from your personal residence?
No.
This is, just, we're saying no.
No, because we're incorporated at 521.
Okay. I figured, I work from home a lot, but, I think.
And it's a your personal computer.
No, this belongs to the agency. Okay, I will submit this to the insurance company.
You're working through a broker, I assume?
Yes,
Okay, and you will have their advice and assistance in evaluating that policy?
I spoke with these folks last year about creating this policy. So yes, Central Insurance and Assured Partners Northeast is the is who we're working with. So we can talk more about this next month. Okay,
That can be done.
I think so, unless there's any more questions.
So I think B already did the investment, right?
Mhm.
So we're up to Ms. Rwanda and
Yeah.
her housing.
Yes, first of all, I just would like to say, the housing authority updates that were there in the past, it was actually on Brandon's and she was letting us know where she was finding things on us purchasing properties, but I'm fine for us to be on there, but I just wanna say in the past, the reason why I said HHA updates was Brenda letting us know where she was
Thank
on
you.
finding information on the properties.
Wow, thanks for
But
that.
I love giving updates. So either way. We are at a very exciting time. Our RFQ just closed out this past Friday, so very exciting. We made it, but I'm gonna roll it over to Jeff and he's gonna give a really good detail where we are at the HHA update.
Well, that was it. So, good evening, everyone. We did have our RFQ submissions in on this Friday, and we received several submissions. And we are now in the review process, and we will.
How many?
Won't give the names, but there's 5. And we expect to be.
Shit.
Is the RFQs already, are they already like at the level where they would be recommending properties that HCDPA owns or any other properties as part of their proposal?
Not yet, it's just a request for quote.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
No,
Okay. Okay, great.
so we're very excited about that, and we came together and we're gonna get going.
Good, is that good?
I got a HHA and HCDPA update.
Okay,
This is a shocker.
okay.
Uh-oh.
Her name is Ravanda. Ravanda, not Rwanda.
It's Rwanda, yes, but whatever.
No, your name is Ravanda. B.
It's, I think growing up, I think I've always said it. He wants you to come to the store.
No, you say Rwanda.
You say Rwanda.
You is Dominic.
Dominic, I've been in
I
Rwanda
apologize.
for 35 years.
That's not that way. You go right.
If I could share one more thing, our field office for HUD is in Buffalo. And they're having a symposium, not at Buffalo, it's gonna be remote on March 15th. And it is a housing choice voucher landlord symposium. So any landlords that may be interested in Section 8, learning about the do's and don'ts, the hows and all of that.
Hey, anyone in the community might
I mean,
wanna consider.
I did give you a copy of the flyer. It doesn't have a actual web address, but there's a link in the email which I've shared with Ravanda as well as Michelle. And they can get that information to you. We can, please, we're encouraging that you
I
share.
would like to have that.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, here, you can have a copy of the flyer directly, but I will send you an email if you like.
Yes.
So you can, get involved.
Definitely.
And I'm sure it's
Something's not gonna find out.
And that's it.
Great.
About the new, Section 8 rates are different.
Yeah.
Yes.
They went up. So,
Well, they may not be talking about that in general. They may talk about how it works, but they may not speak about it in general because housing authorities have the discretion based on recommendation from HUD to apply for a waiver, which we did. And that's why we were able to raise our percentage.
Right.
It's temporary, the amount we raised it to, but it's my thought that they may keep it that way considering the housing prices.
It's needed.
Yes, 100%. And everybody's pushing.
Cause that's what was causing the problems.
Yeah.
Jeff, is that also, deportable vouchers, does that apply to?
Are the vouchers portable? Yes.
No, I mean, the rate.
The percentage rate, I'm not sure of that. I have to check on that and get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is public
Question.
comment.
You know, he didn't introduce himself.
Oh,
Does everybody know?
we know.
How about the public?
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I am
Because I didn't know who.
Jeffrey E. Johnson, the Executive Director for the Hudson Housing Authority, and thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It's like a news pass sign off right
See,
now.
the one thing, yeah, Jeffrey E. Dobbs.
Well, exactly, it's a Dotson, so I didn't hear it as a Dotson, Dobson, right?
No,
No, it's D, not
Two
D.
D's, two D's, two O's, one S.
Nah, what the heck?
It's gotta be the error.
Right, now my hearing's gone too.
Public comment, you're saying.
Yeah, any public comment? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Aye.
Thanks.
Oh, that's great.
Can I check for me?
You mean me or Ken?
No,
Let me check.
Yeah, let me find out.
Okay.